The markets are open.
People always ask, well, why should I bet on Monday? Because you have the perfect number in front of you.
And the numbers are moving.
We've seen this total go from 47 to 49, 49 and a half.
Now you're getting a field goal in a game that was sit and pick 'em for so long.
Let's dive into some Monday morning market moves on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM.
Sam really wants to hit in the Heisman. I certainly understand why. If you told me, Sam, before the weekend, we talked about this idea. Okay, Mississippi's going to win. They're going to take down Georgia, and Dart's going to stay exactly the same. I would have thought you were absolutely insane, but that's what happened. It was the big move a week ago. Ole Miss pulls it off. They beat Georgia. Georgia slides and get to their title odds in a little bit, and no movement on Dart, but a big move on your guy, Travis Hunter.
Give it to me. I need it all. Please give this man the Heisman. Even money, BetMGM right now. Travis Hunter, plus 100. Then Gabriel, plus 350. Genty, 4-1. Cam Ward, all the way down to 850. There is such a negative feeling for Miami. I mean, the voters don't like Miami to begin with. It always felt like Cam Ward had to go undefeated. Miami had to go 12-0, and then he might win the Heisman. That's a team that had a really bad loss, again, to a Georgia Tech team that has not beat them in 2 straight seasons. Remember, last year was the game when they fumbled the ball when they could have kneeled it out. Georgia Tech wins as a huge dog. Well, Georgia Tech was on the close, a 9-point dog at home, beats Miami again. Cam wasn't great, so he's way down. Curtis Rourke, Indiana quarterback, 16-1, and then it's basically everybody else. Milroe's number came down a smidge. He's 18-1, but it really does feel like it is Travis Hunter's to lose. He plays 100 snaps again. He catches a touchdown. And I actually had, I got the setup here in the house. I watched the entire Colorado-Texas Tech game. They didn't even throw the ball at him on defense. Like, they don't even throw. He erases an entire side of the field. And I'm not, me, I'm not the biggest Colorado guy in the world. He's the best player in the country. It's not even close.
He's going to be the number 1 overall pick, right? I know it depends on the team. Who is it? How much do they need a quarterback, want a quarterback? Is there a clear-cut number 1 quarterback? Quarterbacks are always going to go, but just because it's so different and everything that he's going to offer. And then how is he going to be used at the next level? I also wonder about that. But every mock I've taken a look at, it's super early. We don't know who's going to have the pick. They're like, because I'm just curious where they slot Hunter. And they all put him 1-1. That's going to be an interesting market. Yeah, they do. The ones that I've looked at. So that'll be fascinating. Remember, a lot of these teams that are going to be up there, they just got their quarterback. Whether it's Drake May or signing Trevor Lawrence. So that's going to be really interesting to watch moving forward. I know you're focused on this, and it looks good for you. Our guy Michael Felder can't be happy. Genty had a 200-yard game, 3 touchdowns, and just barely ticks up, I guess. He's still the 3rd favorite. Like, that's the big thing. Wow, if you told me Gabriel would be here, his team would accomplish this at this point, and he's still not the favorite, I would have been surprised.
Genty, unfortunately, doesn't have enough people watching his games. And I think it's almost like people don't like that he's doing it against bum team after bum team. I don't think the voters will get there with Genty. It just feels that kind of way. I mean, yeah, he's an amazing football player, but Nevada's 3-8 and 0-5 in the Mountain West. And he runs for 200 yards, and it's like, okay, who cares? That's sort of the vibe that I get now, because they haven't really played a good team in what feels like a month. I mean, they played UNLV. Yeah, right? UNLV was a decent team. That was on October 25th. They win that game 29-24. Genty had, in that game he had 128 and 1 touchdown at the end, the 4th quarter touchdown. He was okay in that game, 128 and a touchdown. But we also brought this up with Felder. unless he runs for 250 and 3-4 touchdowns a week, people are going to say,
Every
"Oh,
game.
see, he can't. He's not Barry Sanders."
Yeah. Yeah. He's not. Most people are not. To lock it in for Travis Hunter, 7-2. Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State left. Need to win one?
There are several voters I've talked to that said if Colorado wins one game, one more to get to 8,
Yeah.
they'll vote for
That's where
him.
I'm at.
They'll vote for Hunter. And look, he's got 3 games against all Power 5 teams, obviously, because they're in the Big 12. If he goes for 100 snaps a game in all 3 of those games, catches a touchdown in every game, and does what he does on defense, he's not losing.
It's good. As far as the weekend, start things off, noon Eastern. It's nice to have a rocking chair winner. Good call by you on Texas, man. That was just, as soon as that game started, like, oh, this is one-way traffic. They have Florida. They have no chance in this one. And yeah, they just steamrolled them, smoked them. Didn't matter what number you got.
It was unfortunate because I think there was a lot of people that bit and saw what Florida did against Georgia and thought, wow, that's a big number against Texas. And honestly, we talked about this all week. I never thought Lagway was going to play for Florida. Why would you play your 5-star freshman quarterback with a bad hamstring against Texas? It never felt real, even though Billy Napier came out on Tuesday or Wednesday and said, oh, it's actually not that bad. He's progressing. He didn't play. They had no chance. And honestly, that Florida performance against Georgia, we are learning that's more of an indictment against Georgia. Georgia's been kind of bleh in the last month or so. They had the nice win against Texas, but they've let a lot of teams hang around, and they lose again, Georgia, to Ole Miss. So maybe more impressed coming away with Florida's performance against Georgia than I am with Georgia as a whole. And I thought, Georgia's still the best team in the country. No, Georgia is not the best team in the country. But the SEC has been very fun all year. And you and I both go on with Shope and the Bulldog in Buffalo. And after we did our college football draft last week of bets to make for the playoff, and you took Ole Miss at 35 and Alabama at 18, I talked to Ed Salmons at a book in Vegas. He works at the Superbook, and he goes, our wise guys are betting us 2 teams. 2 teams. They're both SEC teams, and they both have big numbers. Alabama and Ole Miss. So I told Bulldog that on Friday because you talked about it on Wednesday. Salmons brought it up on Thursday, and then I told Bulldog on Friday. I imagine there are people in Buffalo that are now holding either an Alabama ticket or an Ole Miss ticket or both, and that is directly your fault because you started the discourse on Wednesday.
Buffalo, their listeners bet. You can tell. And
I know. I told you the first time I went on with them, I had a DM from some guy saying, "Don't ever show your face in Buffalo."
I love it. So good
because I lost a football game, 1 game.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned the Miami loss finally happened. We knew it was a matter of time. Ward is out. We got to mention Indiana because we kept talking about how that was sitting at 14.5 all week. Indiana wins. They do not cover against Michigan, but man, that scene was awesome. I hate that we're going to have a weekend without him. The on-field interview, Jenny Dell grabs Signetti and it's just like, look around. And he's like, 9-0? Not bad.
10-0.
He's awesome.
10-0.
10-0. Like he didn't know because he asked. He's like 10-0, right? Yeah, not bad. And he's just like nodding along. It's hilarious. The game in 2 weeks. Yeah, of course he knew. Game in 2 weeks. Yeah, I wish it was this weekend, but we're gonna have to wait a weekend. Indiana, Ohio State. It's gonna decide their playoff lives.
It's going to be such a public play. And I still will probably bet it. Indiana. I mean.
As a dog. Well, does it?
Come on.
The number always matters. What number are you going to take?
It definitely matters. I So I didn't see a new number. I mean, I'm looking at the board. We both have the odds logic board up. If you type in Ohio State, they only have a line for this game. There was a sports book last week that had a look ahead number out on Ohio State, Indiana. And remember, that game is in Columbus. The look
And
ahead
it is
number
not
heading into
posted
the
now.
weekend. It is not. Okay. It
Yeah.
was 9.5. And
Right.
it's hard to imagine it's much higher than that.
So you're going to be part of Indiana. What if it's 10.5?
I would take it. If it's 14, I'll be nervous as all hell. Because if it's 14, it sounds weird to say that, but I kind of feel that way. If it's 9.5, 10, you're like, oh, okay. If it's 14, that's when they take the reel and here you go, take it. and then they lose, 35-10 or something like that. It'll tell me a lot where they open the number. If they open it at 10, we got a war. If they open it at 14, that's bad news for Indiana.
As far as this week, I guess the big game we would say, I don't know that it looks big now because of the way things have gone for Tennessee, but it's Georgia coming off that loss at home, hosting Tennessee. The number's 9 to start the week.
There will be a big push from people that just watched Georgia that go, it's a big number.
Give me the balls.
It's a big number. It is.
Yeah, I won't be on
but
that.
I'll tell you what, Georgia could easily win by 2 touchdowns. Tennessee, coming into the season, I wasn't that high on Tennessee. And then they beat 3 nobodies by what felt like 100 points a game. I mean, they beat Chattanooga 69-3, Kent State 71-0, and then they beat a very overrated NC State team that is now, I want to say, 5-5. Yeah, 5-5. They beat NC State 51-10. And it was, look out, this team is good enough to win it all. And I'm sorry. I'm not there on Tennessee. Their offense has been very vanilla for the last month. I understand there will be an appetite to bet Tennessee. I will not bet Tennessee in the game.
The Maction games saw a lot of early movement. The Tuesday game, Toledo -14 to -17 against Central Michigan. On Wednesday, they're betting Akron against NIU. That came off the 17. And then this is not Maction, but another one. Another weekday game. Thursday, they bet East Carolina. That goes from 11 to 14 against Tulsa. So those were the ones that really saw some early movement. These games coming up over the next few days.
I'm laughing at Wednesday night, Maction. Miami of Ohio is laying 30 to Kent State. The total is 45.
I watched that game last week. They are so horrid. And also just to bet Akron, to be like, oh, I got to get the 17 with Akron.
So what's the final score? The final score is 37-7. That's going to be the final.
Let's bet some team total dogs. What are those numbers going to be?